Alrighty, welcome to City of Island Fishing Field Team, our YouTube channel, short for COAF Field Team. And what we're providing are some suggestions and tips on places that we fished in a simple format. We call it the 3 Ws. What we tried, what worked, what we learned. And hopefully you can apply that to places that we fish, as well as maybe a similar situation where you're fishing as well in a particular location in your area. And so let's take us to this trip. In this case, we went to a Blue River down the road, or actually up the road from us in the city of Allen, about maybe just less than 2 hours away. And we took this trip on the 11th, or correction, November 2018. And the particular area that we fished was Hughes Crossing. And what we'll do is we'll describe the area, the approach that we took when we fished it, as well as the 3W. All right, so let's take you there. So give you an area overview.
Right, it's a beautiful day here on the Blue River, over here at Hughes Crossing. We'll go check out how the action's going here shortly. So wish us luck.
In that inset video that you saw, you'll see right here that marker. And the next shot you'll see is where we come up to this location, you get a view of this side creek that was formed recently from a lot of the floods and whatnot, as well as some of these trees are gone now and some of this bank here. But bottom line, it's still fishable. And then there's another view that will take you here, as well as along this road, this low water crossing. And then we'll take you back over here to where we'll take a look at this rocky outcropping and then this rock, and we'll start looking at some potential opportunities for some trout. So let's go ahead and take you to the next piece here. All right, and so there's the view downriver, and what we'll typically do when we look at a particular area is we like looking at fast water, moving water, because trout tend to hang in there, but not all the time in that particular fast water. They'll be kind of hanging into maybe a lull in that water. So in the past, we've caught fish all along this area here. Let's see if we can take it here. All along this whitewater area downriver has been a very good opportunity for us. And then over here, you'll see some rocky outcroppings, and then further down here, there'll be a little island. It's kind of gone now. I mean, there's just a little bit left, but that's a good area to go to and check it out. But in our case, what we wanted to do was just continue down or across the low water crossing and take a look at maybe some fish. And so what we have is our polarized glasses, and we're looking in the water. And this is that side creek that we described earlier that was formed, and we've seen actual trout. There's an earlier video that we posted where we walked this stream with our water wolf camera, and you can see trout from small ones to larger ones in this area. So do tread lightly, because the water is only about maybe a foot or two, well, maybe a foot at the most in places. There may be a hole or two here that maybe are 2 foot deep, but a foot or less would be realistic around this area here. So do tread lightly, because there may be some trout there. There's a lot of rocks and holes and pockets to look at, and in our case, that's what we did. We had our polarized glasses. You can see different places. In particular are some pockets, rocky outcroppings and whatnot, and right in here. And what we're looking for is any movement, some dark shadows, trout. We got our polarized glasses. We're looking for some movement, some activity. If we don't see it, we'll continue on. Since the water's clear enough to do so, we don't have to do some blind casting. We might as well spend our time focusing on those areas that are holding fish. Here we are, continue across. We're on the other side of the crossing now, and you can see some more rocks, some pockets, some deep holes and whatnot are here. There's a rocky outcropping here, actually a rocky outcropping here, and then some rocks right here in the middle, and there's a definite bubble line and some current here that you can definitely see a change in the current, faster current this way and a slower current in the other way, and so that's going to trigger some thoughts from some past fishing trips where we've seen them kind of lurking in that particular area where that transition zone is. All right, and so we came across the other side of the river. We're now looking upriver, and we're taking a look, and there's that rocky outcropping, and there's the other piece right here where we have the that little, or that good-sized rock that's sticking out of the water as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to situate ourselves on this rock, and we're going to work this area where there's some transition zones as well as some deep pockets. And what we're looking for are shadows, movement. We got our polarized glasses again, very key to this. And because we're right-handed, we're going to cast over shoulder, over our left shoulder, and luckily we have our OPST Skagit head and this 5-weight that we like using. That has been very well for us in being able to reach across the river or different areas without having to use a traditional overhead cast. And that'll come to play later on. And there's another view. Once we're on the rock itself, this whole area is very good for trout. What we like doing it typically is we'll start here with our polarized glasses, look for that movement, and we'll just continue upriver, be it on the right side of the river, looking upriver, or to the left side. What's nice is there's no longer a lot of these trees that were in brush that were here. This has got washed away, and a lot of the trees got knocked down. So if you're fly fishing, you're able to get some nice overhead casting. Your back cast isn't near as clobbered as it used to be. But if you're on this side of the river, the right-hand side as you're looking upriver, there's still a lot of trees and whatnot that you'll have to contend with. And so what we're looking for is movement. What we're seeing is some movement along this area here. There's a faster current coming this way over here on the far side of the river from where we're situated. And we're standing right over here where our pole is showing. And then you'll see another current or a transition zone, and then it'll get kind of like a little slower area where we can actually see trout lurking down below, and then it'll come back to our left downriver right before the crossing. We'll speed up again. All right, and there's the overview head view of Hughes Crossing, low water crossing, and how we decided to take the approach on how we're going to fish this area. So let's go ahead and take you to what we did next.
Drifted down deep, and you can actually see fly in the water. Oh, and you can actually see him take it.
All right, so just a little clip or snippet of what we were doing. What we decided to do was, again, we're casting over the shoulder, casting forward, or casting sort of on a offhand shoulder and casting forward upriver. Here's where we're taking the drift downriver, and what's happening is we've already cast upriver and we've let it drift, and we're taking it through this section here. And we didn't have an indicator at this point. We're just really exploring, looking to see if we can get some activity or movement toward our fly. And if we do see that, then we'll continue to work it that way. If not, we'll change, adjust as need be. Again, so we just worked our way downriver. We took the drift, and we're just letting the fly drift down into this pocket here. Actually, this hole, a really deep hole down here, as well as back in here. And then there's these pockets again that we showed you earlier. Another deep hole over here and some rocks here that we're looking for. And again, we're seeing movement. We're seeing dark shadows. We're seeing actual fish. We're seeing trout coming to our fly. And so that's keying us that maybe we should stay here a little bit longer and maybe find out what the pattern is. Okay, and so here's the view upriver. There's that rock again. Here's where there's some good current coming through, and then it kind of slows down just up ahead of this rock as well as behind it. You got a lot of current coming this way. You got another little transition zone here that we're going to work, as well as another fairly good sized current here, not as fast as back over here, but right in this section here. We'll see or look, and at times we'll see the trout hanging here. Other times we'll see them hanging in the hole. Other times we'll see them further downriver along this section here. And then we'll see them darting in and out this faster water area. So what we're going to do is we're going to see, we don't have an actual bubble line to work with, but we can see that difference in the speed of the water from the far side versus the closer side here. And then initially we're able to see fairly close, or actually to the bottom of this hole, and that's keying us to let's go ahead and stay here and explore a little bit further and try a fishing fly. And what we'll start out with at least something to get it down deep, because we see them deep. So that keyed us to go ahead and work further down. All right, so that was the approach. We'll go into the next item, which is what did we try? So we're going to the 3 W's now. And the first thing about the 3 W's is what we tried. And what did we try? We tried a single streamer, olive near deer, olive woolly bugger, chartreuse orange mott fly, Why'd we go with those? Because we wanted them to go deep. The olive near deer we were using was a 180 ounce heavier near deer that we can drop it further down faster into the water column. The olive woolly bugger we had unfortunately wasn't as heavy as the olive near deer. Just we noticed that the near deer, because it was heavier, was able to get further down, and we got more looks that way. The chartreuse orange mop fly, that was a good one. Mop fly in general, it tends to sink quicker, even though it doesn't have as much weight, because that little mop nodule or whatever that you get from those microfiber mops tend to soak water well and sink quickly, and they have that undulating action as they kind of flutter down into the water column. We had a lot of looks, a lot of turnaways. I think we actually had one that took, but we just threw the hook on us, or I think we lost when we were trying to net them. Bottom line, we tried the single streamer fly. And then what we did was, because we see that the fly or the trout are interested in the lead fly, in this case an olive near deer, a woolly bugger, or the mop fly, when we set up these tandem rigs, what triggered us to then go to a trailing fly and set up tandem rigs. And so as a lead fly, we would start out with the olive near deer or the mop fly. The woolly bugger just wasn't enough weight to get it down quick enough to where we wanted it to. And then we went with Rainbow Warrior. Why? Well, because the last time we were there, Rainbow Warrior was doing well, and they seemed to like that pattern. And then we also tried the trailing zebra midges in red, black, and white as well. Why? Well, yours truly only tied 2 of the Rainbow Warrior midges, and sure enough, ended up catching 2 right away, and ended up breaking off. So I was down to 1 Rainbow Warrior. And so to make things interesting, might as well go see if something else will strike on there. So what we were looking for then, after we knew that the Rainbow Warrior was working, was something that was in the same size. We initially wanted something in the same coloring. So with white, didn't get anything there. Went on to the black zebra midge that tends to get a lot of good hits in the past, and nothing there. Then we went with the red, nothing there as well. And so we tried that, we mixed things up, and finally found a pattern eventually, and we'll get to that here shortly on what worked. But we do want to also note that we had to make some adjustments as well for the strike indicator and adjusting for depth. We initially tried not having the strike indicator. We just were going to fish it, see if we can go with 1 fly, no tandem rig, and just, because it makes it easier, and also we like to try fishing without the extra accoutrements that you may have on a particular rig that you're fishing, and going simple, keep it simple, stupid type philosophy. And while the KISS simple, the KISS principle didn't work in this case, so we had to go to the tandem rig. That Rainbow Warrior midge was very good. We did have to add that strike indicator, because what would happen is if we were going to work downstream, drop that fly, that indicator was actually good to keep off the line. It was better just to fish it without that strike indicator, because we were fishing downstream. We could actually see our fly sink to the location that we were looking for. Later on, we were trying to fish cross river at the classic 45 angle upstream cast. I just couldn't do it without the indicator to keep it in the zone, the money zone where they were hanging out. So and that strike indicator allowed us that flexibility to cast cross river, up river, and start working the section of river, that transition zone or the bubble line, in this case the transition zone between fast and slow water. The other thing is adjusting for depth. We started out with initially about 2.5, 3 feet. Saw that we had them coming up but turning away, decided to go ahead and drop it. We actually dropped it down about 5, 6 feet, and a heavier fly, and that got it down to the depth we needed to. We could initially see the reaction of the trout, and then at least what we noticed was trout would look at the lead fly, we would see him come, and then they'd turn away, and then shortly after we'd get a hit on that trailing fly. And so it was more like a stimulator, or some kind of visual stimulation to say, hey, there's something moving in the water column, I want to go for it. It doesn't look as tasty as I want, but oh, look at this little midge. At least, that's what we're thinking. Of course, maybe that's not the truth or the case, but it sounds good. All right, so that's what we tried. So let's go ahead and take it to what worked for us. So we take that same philosophy of using a heavy weighted streamer, olive near deer, the chartreuse orange mop fly. In our case, that olive woolly bugger that we were using was just not enough weight to get it down. And then the tandem rig worked. Trailing rainbow warrior midge, that was the key. Caught 2 on it, and then worked very hard to catch another 2 without it, because we only had one last rainbow warrior in our fly box, but we were kind of wanting to get a limit. Went ahead and put rainbow warrior and went for broke, and ended up catching 2 more after that. So maybe would have made a quicker day, but who cares? We're out on the river fishing, so I'll spend all day on a river, even if they aren't biting. Anyways, so what worked? We say the olive near deer, the chartreuse orange mop fly, tandem rig to a trailing rainbow warrior midge, and then some other things, adding that strike indicator and adjusting for the depth, in this case deeper. Alrighty, so let's go and shift over to what we learned. In this round, we wanted tandem rig fly. So anytime we go to this particular river, and we're just not talking of this one section, low water crossing, but this will work across the board. As we work the river, is locate the fish. We see them that they're holding deep in the water column. So next round we'll just go right for a heavily weighted lead fly, be it the bugger pattern in olive, or switch over to a chartreuse or orange mop fly, weighted to get it down in the water column. And then we'll put that trailing midge, rainbow warrior midge in this case, size 16 on a caddis hook. Learned that other midge patterns didn't work this round, so we'll try that. If that doesn't work next time, but we still see them looking at the lead fly and turning away, then we'll definitely adjust on that rainbow warrior midge. On that round, this is what we discovered worked for us. Looking at other things, again, we talk about that strike indicator. That's what got us into being able to take the fly or the tandem rig into the zone, be the transition zone that we were working, or upriver or downriver, and being able to keep it in that zone where the fish were lurking. And then also adjusting for them. In this case, it was 5 foot plus. We could see the trout reacting to the flies, but as they're moving above us, above the water column, they would turn away, and not really work much harder to go chase after it. But you drop it down to where they're lurking, boom, we're getting our hits. We tie our own flies. In this case, we've got several playlists that we'll post, or some quick tie videos that we post on our YouTube channel. The rainbow warrior midge, the simple mott fly, and then the olive near deer. So they'll be available for you. We can put some links and whatnot in the description as well, so that you can access it fairly quickly. And guess what? These work at other places too, so keep those in mind going forward. Alrighty, so those were the 3 W's, and this is what we learned. But oh, by the way, some things that probably useful, be it if you're not a fly fisherman, but you want to still fish the Blue River, regardless of what gear you're going to use. Fishing license and tags, you're going to need it. Acquire Oklahoma fishing license. You can purchase online if you're here like us in Texas. Typically we'll purchase online, or on the way when we're crossing the border, we'll stop at what was formerly Dave's Sport and Tackle, or Ski and Tackle, I think it was. Purchase online, get it on the way, but bottom line, you need to have that. In some cases, there are some discounts, in some cases, some freebies for senior citizens. So do check out Oklahoma's Department of Fish and Wildlife Game. Well, we'll put a link in there in the description. Check out their site. They'll give you some details on what you'll need. There are some discounts for senior citizens. I think for those in Oklahoma, senior citizens, there may be a lifetime license that's available. That's free. You just need to have it. In Texas driver's license, and you're good to go if you're over 65. Do check, though, before you go, because things can change without notice. And then locally, you can also pick one up at the Tishomingo Walmart. The other thing that you need to be aware of is there's a tag that's needed on the stringer. This, I think, happened about 3-4 years ago. You'll need to have your name on it. You'll need to have your fishing license number. And additionally, you can't share your stringer with another angler. So that one stringer is yours. Your limit goes on there, or your trout go on there till you have your limit. And be ready to have ID and that fishing license, so that you can show the game warden that you are doing things in the regulations for the Blue River, and you'll be good to go. Some other things to keep in mind: polarized glasses and a net. Got to have the polarized glasses. That's what allowed us to see the fishing activity in the water. Look at those pockets. Look at those deep holes. Look at those shadows and whatnot that look like a fish, but we're not sure. But when we put those polarized glasses, we definitely could see it. Additionally, have that net. There are some bruisers, especially when they had the trout derby. They put some good sized trout in there. And this next trout derby, I believe it's going to be next year, President's Day weekend. Plan for some nice sized trout to be also stocked. And I said just recently they were just stocked. I think it was yesterday. Let's see, the day's the 30th. It was either yesterday or Wednesday. So there's another stocking, and it gets the Blue River gets stocked weekly. Bring waders and a wading stick and staff for the fly fishermen. Suggest having the waders. Maybe you're not going to go in the river completely, but it's always nice having the option to, if you need to get into the water and get into places that have the fish lurking, it's really nice to have that. Also have a wading stick or staff. We initially have a wading, well, we still have the wading stick. It's the one that we picked up when we fell in the water. There's a lot of rocks there. You slip. Be prepared to have that wading stick or staff available, because that will help you have that 3-point contact when you're trying to navigate the river. We have this shooting head. It's a one-headed spay fly line that we just got into about a year ago or so. Previous to that, we were using some spay casting or switch casting gear. That worked well for us, and then we found out that you could do it one hand instead of having a two-handed rod. And then we could use our normal fly rod. In this case, we're using a 5-weight 9-foot fly rod, and that OPST commando head has given us a lot of flexibility in being able to cast across the river, cast to places that we don't normally cast to because we just can't reach it because of our back cast is clobbered. And additionally, the roll cast just doesn't get to where you really need it to. And this was a plus for us, where we're on this rocky outcropping and we're able to shoot the line upriver to where the fish were lurking, as well as continue to work close in, so we didn't have to have a huge spay rod or switch casting rod. And then lastly, dress warm. Ladies preferred. That's it. We did put a little gear video, what we wear for cold weather, for fly fishing gear that may be of interest for folks that are thinking about fishing the Blue River, as well as maybe fishing any river or location that is cold. Some good points there that you might want to take a look at. Alrighty. So thanks for stopping by, and do come back. What's next round, we want to talk about Turner Falls over here in Davis, Oklahoma. We've gone fishing there on the 27th as well as the 28th. We've limited out. There's some nice sized trout in there, as well as a lot of these 12-14 inchers. We did have an individual confirm that they had hit it up, Turner Falls, Davis, Oklahoma, and caught endless 12 to 14 inch trout. But that said, there are some bigger ones in there as well. So do stay tuned. We'll get another video together talking of the things we did in those 3W concept, what we tried, what worked, and lessons we learned. We mentioned the playlist on fishing flies. We'll get that in the link, as well as some gear for the cold weather. We'll get that also down in the description, so you can just access that. And then, talking of this trip, we do have some video. We mix things up, the old grip and grin videos that we're putting before to this new format. However, we still like making these videos, so do stay tuned. We'll get another video out related to the actual fishing that we did for this video on the 11th, November 2018. A lot of the footage that you see here was taken on that trip, and we'll get that posted as well. Alrighty, that said, thanks for stopping by, and do come back. And until next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck and good fishing.